everybody, Ferguson Woodworks here. After posting a picture of my pizza peel that I did for a buddy of mine out in Washington, there was a lot of people asking how did I do the curved bevel on the pizza peel. Some of the pizza peels you see, it's flat faced on the bottom, and then it comes up to the handle, curves back down, and then it's a flat bottom. And my buddy wanted a curved bottom on it, so that's what I put, and it came out really well. And a lot of you guys seem to like it, and I'm curious to how I went about and did it. I don't know if this is the correct way. It was the way I thought of and made sense to me, so I went with it and used caution when I did do it, and it worked out really well. And I'd like to answer your guys' questions on how I did it. This method may not be for everybody. It may be sketchy to some of you guys, but it worked out great for me. So what I've gone and done is I've taken a piece of scrap just to get a curve established for you. The pizza peel was a 1/2 inch thick, and I planed this down to a 1/2 inch thick, so we're back to how I exactly did it on the pizza peel itself. So without further ado, here we go. First part of the method to my madness was making an extended fence. I went ahead and used my table saw to do the first part of the beveling, and as we know, our fences are only 3.5 inches tall, and the pizza peel was 14 inches tall, so there was a lot of top instability, or I don't even know if that's the right word or not. I'm going with it. But anyways, I made a vertical, basically a raised vertical fence. This is 10 inches tall. It fits over my fence through this gap. If you notice, there's a channel here that I put in, and the reason behind that is because my fence has a channel inside, and what I did was I made it fit in between this screw here and this screw here to stop it from pushing forward and backward, obviously with the friction of the pizza peel sliding along it. So I don't know what fences you guys are dealing with. You may have to make a vertical fence differently than I did, but that's how I went about mine. Every fence is different from every manufacturer, so try to use some ingenuity and creativity when you make yours. So I guess we'll get on to showing you how I went about this. So naturally what I did was I created my extended fence first, made sure it worked properly, did some test cuts. My fence just slides right over my fence, nice and easy, with a little bit of friction, not too much. There, now it's in place. Because of that piece inside, the fence doesn't go anywhere. So there we go with that. So next thing I actually did was I did 4 test cuts at 15, 20, 25, and 30 degrees. I showed the cuts to my buddy that this was for, and he chose to go with the 15-degree cut. He had an original pizza peel at home, so he was able to compare the angles I sent him to the one I had at home. Honestly, I have never built a pizza peel before, and so I figured I'd let him decide on the bevel itself. So the first thing I did is I set myself to 15 degrees, and you should be able to do this with any table saw that you have. I have a Hercules from Harbor Freight. I'm not exactly happy with it because of the fence the way it is. It's a pain in the neck to get it as square, and but I make it work, and yeah, with some trial and error, but we make it work. So we're set to 15 degrees. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my fence so there's about 1/8 of an inch space between the fence and the blade. That'll give you your little lip, and you can bevel that as well to help get underneath the pizza as they're trying to get it out of the pizza oven. So we'll move on to that now. Okay, so next we're gonna move our fence in to our blade. Our blade is already set to 15 degrees. A zero clearance fence would be more ideal for this. When I did it, I don't have a zero clearance fence for mine. So we're gonna try to leave 1/8 of an inch. The best we can. Okay, let's do our test cut. Okay, so our test cut is a little on the thick side, so we're just gonna move our fence in just a little bit more and we should be good to go. So this is a scaled down version of the pizza peel I did. Obviously it's just a mock-up. Pizza peel was 14 by 22.5. This is like 11, and who knows what the length is. The point of this video is the beveling part of it. So we're just gonna go down our sides first at 15 degrees, and then we'll get to the part that everybody's been asking about, the actual curve. But I started with the sides first. Now with the sides, I kept the pizza peel as flat as possible to the bed of the table saw. I had room up here to keep my hands away from the saw in a safe place. And as I moved, I used my thumbs to keep the piece in line. And since I don't have a zero clearance fence, it would be likely for the piece to actually go down into behind the saw. So this is where it gets a little sketchy, like I said. So you really want a firm grip up here. And I tended to stand to the side in case of any kickback, so I didn't get in the way of the board coming out or even the piece that was cutting off flying at me. Luckily everything just stayed right here. You can't really make this cut by moving your fence to this side of the blade because the blade is tilted to this side, and as you're trying to run your cut through, we're trying to do it flat. First off, your table saw won't bevel that far for you to do that cut. Secondly, the piece will bind up and there's a great chance of kickback and binding. So this was the only way it really made sense. I don't own any saws that would do such a cut. A jigsaw will only go at 30 degrees, and it's kind of hard to really get your distance proper around here that you really need. So like I said, this was the only idea that I could really come up with that made sense to me in how to go about this. So let's get our sides done and then we'll work on the curve. Now that our sides are done, we'll go ahead and do the curve. So you can see you have a nice chamfer there, or bevel, on both sides. Now this was the tricky part of everything, is going around this curve. I'll show you how I went about it. You don't really do it in one pass, you do it in several passes. So let's get to it. Now, as you can see, there is a bevel all the way around this, but it's choppy and squarey. You can see where the cuts met in several spots. Obviously, with the pizza peel that I did, we had more cuts involved, but since this is a smaller piece, we did less cuts. But do as many as you feel you need to do as far as getting the curve. If you don't want to stick your piece of wood in the saw for longer periods of time, take shorter cuts. And now all we do from here is basically what I refer to as detail sanding. And I'll detail sand this, so I'm going to skip that part so I don't bore you guys and show you the final outcome once I'm done. This is only pine. Obviously I was using hardwoods. I started out with the hardened 20 grit. I would think 80 grit would be too much too fast, and you could easily screw this bevel up very quickly. So go with the lighter sandpaper to go ahead to do your tune-up. 120 seemed to work pretty well with me. I'm not sure how it's going to act with the pine. I'm sure it's going to be fine, but you see we have high spots that we also have to continue beveling down. We have to try and make this crease, this cut line, as even as possible. So yeah, I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there's 120 tuning in. Obviously it's going to get better as we go through our grits of sandpaper, 180, 220. But take a look. Got a nice 15-degree bevel going on. It's easy to lose this with your orbital standers, so you gotta be careful about what you're doing. Pay attention. So, but there it is. So there you have it, guys. That's the way I went about doing the bevel on my pizza peel. I hope this helps you guys. I know some of you have said that you're actually working on one and trying to figure out how you were going to do the bevel on yours. So I hope this helps. Again, please use caution when you're doing this. It can be sketchy. It feels a little sketchy to me, but I'm comfortable with my saw, and I'm also confident in my abilities. And like I said, it worked well for me. This may not be a way for everybody, but for those that it helps, great. If there's other methods of doing this, please share them in the comments. I'd love to read them. I always like to challenge myself and learn new things. After all, that's why I like woodworking. It's a challenge. Makes you think outside of the box at times. And yeah, so if you guys like the video, please hit that like button. I know every YouTuber says it, but you know, I'd like to grow my YouTube channel, so that'd be great. You could hit that like button, share it with other woodworkers, and if you like me and you like what I've done here, hit that subscribe button for more content. I'm trying to get a little better about posting new videos. I've been doing the short stories a little more. I do reels on Facebook as well as Instagram, so you can find me at Ferguson Woodworks across all social media. So thanks guys for tuning in. I hope